All right. Hello and welcome into the show. This is Unadvised here on the Sports Animal YouTube page, Facebook as well. I'm Preston Poole. We got Tyler Adams, T-Bag here as well with us. Follow us on Twitter at PrestonPoole405, at Tyler's Takes, at Unadvised Pod as well on X. We're going to get into a lot of football here today. This is our football recap from the last 2 days. And T-Bag, you were in Stillwater yesterday for the OSU-Arkansas game. I need a maybe like a through the game vibe check. How you were feeling at certain points in the game?
You texted me yesterday during the game. You said I need a vibe check, and it was the most roller coaster of vibe checks you could get throughout the entire game. I've been inside a lot of emotional games inside Boone Pickens Stadium. You know, Bedlam games, Texas games, top 10 matchups. But no game has ever been anything like that. Like I saw a tweet saying, like I tweeted out after the game yesterday, I said, I'm exhausted. That was the most roller coaster of emotions in a football game I've ever been to. And people were like, what about BYU lost? You know, I saw a couple of tweets like BYU lost. It's like BYU, you're just fighting for a comeback.
Yeah.
OSU, you had to fight for the comeback. Then you think you lost it. Then you think you got it. Then you think you lost it. Then you think you got it. All the way through 2 OTs. And I was surprisingly calm throughout the majority of the game. And I think the reasoning for that is one simple answer, and that's Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy has built up over the last, I think that was like his 20th 12-point comeback in the second half. I mean, it's just whenever you're down. Now, when you're playing a team where you just know is superior, it's a little different. You know, a lot of bedlams. I remember that 2015 Ole Miss Sugar Bowl game. There's just been a lot of times like Texas in the Big 12 Championship where you just know you're outclassed. But whenever you're watching a Oklahoma State game and you know that you're on at least equal talent, you know, equal footing of talent, it's just you always have to just consider the Pokes are always going to be in it because Mike Gundy, I mean, he calls them culture ones, and that's exactly what it was this year. It's just simple as culture one. They're in better condition. They messed up on. I know we're going to talk about the Alan Bowman, you know, which was the dumbest, you know, unsportsmanlike conduct ever. They did a lot of things.
No, it wasn't. There was another one later in the day that was the dumbest. But yeah, we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, there was a bad one in that game. It's just a typical just Mike Gundy's just he has a team that believes in the process of what Gundy preaches. They're veteran laced. They've done it before. They did it last year, a few times last year. And so I was just surprisingly calm the whole game. Now it's not like I was like, OSU's definitely going to come back and win this. It was just more like, I mean, until it's not over until it's over. And especially kind of that second half where a side note, I love how good Dunn and Nardo are at adjusting. I love how good they are at adjusting at halftime. But GD, can they come out with just a game plan for the whole game that's going to work so we don't have to adjust at halftime? Can we get this thing going in the first half, please? Because that's been the common theme the last 2 seasons is second half adjustments are just great for the Pokes. But it's like, why does every game need to have second half adjustments? Why does every big game need to have second half adjustments? So, in short, Preston, it was just the most roller coaster. I mean, truly, after the game, everyone was just talking about just like how exhausted they were. Like, just like, I'm exhausted. Like that game,
I was exhausted watching.
Truly exhausting. And that game, if you're just an outsider watching that game, like that's just one of those just like college football rocks games. Like you go to overtime, both kickers miss. You know, Arkansas missed to go up 3 field goal. OSU missed a game-winning field goal in overtime.
Yeah,
unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. You know, bad game management. Refs. You know, I don't think the refs are as bad as what OSU fans are trying to make. Like, no. I don't think the refs really trying to screw OSU.
We were doing radio during the game, and people were texting in saying how Arkansas was holding every play on offense. I'm like, nah. I don't think it's every single play. I think it could probably go both ways. So yeah.
My only complaint with the refs yesterday was like they took their sweet precious time to announce some things like that. You know, whenever the clock issue with like a minute and a half left in the game, like that was just took forever to handle. So yes, I had problems with refs. I'm never have been, never will be a blame the ref guy unless it's some blatant, some blatantly awful thing on the last
Yeah.
play. But I've never once been a blame the ref guy. But nonetheless, the refs weren't helping anything with the fans just by taking their sweet precious time with a lot of this stuff. But it was an emotional day, just in the sense of like, you're alive, you're dead, you're alive, you're dead, you're alive, you're dead, like just all day. But I mean,
What now? Tell me this.
it comes down to this: Oklahoma State had Mike Gundy on the sidelines, and
Yeah,
that's
and that's
all it is.
a big factor. Yeah. So at 11 a.m. yesterday, right before kickoff, I tell you that at the end of the game, Taylor Green's going to have 416 yards passing. Jaquindon Jackson's going to have 149 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. What do you think the score is at 11 a.m. tomorrow?
Like probably like 42. If you would have told me that without the OSU stats, I would have said probably 42-31 Arkansas or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way it felt the whole entire game until the end of it when Oklahoma State decided they wanted to start playing football. I mean, you have a potential Heisman running back who gets
Not
17
anymore.
carries for 49 yards and a touchdown.
Was a potential Heisman running back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he can't like have some great games. Like, I'm not saying Ollie Gordon sucks. I'm not saying he's gonna have some great games, but and it's not even all on Ollie. I don't get the run game for the offensive line. How is it bad? They were good last year, and it's literally the exact same offensive line. It was a good run blocking team last year, and now this year they just can't figure it out whatsoever. They can't get any holes open for Ollie. And I don't know why. Another thing too, I don't know why they keep trying to run him up the middle when every time it seems like Ollie goes outside on a screen or a sweep or something. That's whenever he's at his best, because he's
Yeah.
best at making people miss in the open field or breaking tackles, pushing a player down. And I don't get why they're still trying to run him up the middle when that's clearly just not working.
And it's the same thing at Oklahoma as well. They run right up the gut, nothing happens. You bounce out to the outside, they're able to get yards. So,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I mean, why do you think the run game was just non-existent through 3.5 quarters?
I don't know. I don't have an answer. I know Arkansas is a good D line. Like, I get Arkansas is a good
Yeah.
line, but I've been told, and I've seen, not even I've been told, I've seen Oklahoma State, like, because again, this was the exact same offensive line as last year, who started terrible as an offensive line through the first 3 games, but turned into a great offensive line, the last 19 games of the season, a really good offensive line. And it's the exact same guy. So I don't know why they can't figure out the run game. I think they could fix it. They did last year, so I'm not saying they can't fix it, but I don't know. To me, it's one of those things where I was surprisingly, like I said, I was surprisingly calm the whole game. I was even talking at halftime. I was like, if we lose this, it doesn't mean season's over. Like, it's a non-conference game. All you have to do is win your conference, and you can get in the playoffs. Like, it's not
Yeah.
4-team anymore. So I was surprisingly calm. Like, I was like, I'm not going to throw in the towel in the season. So my biggest takeaway from yesterday was, looked bad. Like, OSU played as bad as they could have for a lot of that game. Arkansas played as well as they could have for a lot of that game, and OSU found a way to win. And I'll take it every time. I mean, you found a way to win, and you look bad. Like, so
Yeah.
I'll take it. I mean, I trust they can adjust and get better, but it was exhausting, and also losing Colin Oliver for the season is gut-wrenching.
I forgot about that.
Because
That's very tough.
I mean, outside of Nick Martin, I mean, it's probably Nick Martin and Colin Oliver, 1A, 1B, as kind of the leaders of the defense and the team all together. So to lose Colin Oliver like that is, I mean, that was kind of crushing to see after the game. I was like, that's one of those, you get about one of those injuries every year, maybe every other year, where there's an injury and you're like, it hurts you for a second. Like, damn, that sucks. Like, that's how I felt when we also look Colin Oliver news. We're like, that just sucks.
Yeah, we got Joe in the chat says Arkansas gave it away. Yeah, my thoughts on that is that Arkansas lost the game more than Oklahoma State won the game, because that was Arkansas's game to win, and they just completely S down their leg. And who knows? We might look back at it, and that might be what put the nail in the Sam Pittman coffin. Who knows? We'll see as the season goes on. But
the game management he had at the end right there was like he took what 20-something seconds to spike the ball.
yeah,
You know, like before they took the game tying field goal in regulation on that last play, it was an incomplete pass, and I remember I was just watching the clock. Like I had my eye like on like the field and like my one eye on the clock because I was like they
yeah,
might just run out of time here. So they got very lucky that, or Sam got very lucky that that did not happen. And while we're getting in the chat too, I mean, the offensive line is great at pass blocking. By the way, I mean it's
yeah.
a fantastic pass blocking. They just cannot establish a running game at all. So that's frustrating. They need to use Tulsa as a big get right game because obviously 13 days from today, I mean, they got Utah coming to town. Utah's loaded with talent, has a very good defense. So they need to work on that for the next couple of weeks and try to get just something going there because we kind of saw it at times yesterday when they can establish a run game. You can't always rely on Alan Bowman. I think if you establish a run game, you can rely on Alan Bowman more. But if the other team knows you're going to pass, Alan Bowman's not always going to be the answer right there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I was just going back trying to look at this Arkansas drive where they were in Oklahoma State territory. They went for it on fourth down, didn't get it. But I mean, that field goal right there, they get that, they win the game. The game doesn't go into overtime if they get that field goal. So I thought that was a big swing in that game as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall, get out of it with a win, and that's kind of the vibes that you get out of Norman as well as Oklahoma. I mean, I don't even know how to put this into words, T-Bag, because I've been watching Oklahoma football since 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. I was born in the mid 90s, so I wasn't old enough in the 90s to watch, but been watching since the early 2000s, and that was one of the worst, if not the worst, offensive outputs I've seen from the Sooners outside of that Texas game
they didn't
a
have a
couple years
quarterback
ago.
in that game.
Yeah, and they didn't have the quarterback in that game. So,
yeah.
What did you make of that game for the Sooners?
I was telling you off air. I was out in Stillwater all day, and I kind of kept my phone off for a lot of the day because I was just trying to preserve battery as much as I could. So I turned on my phone to check scores and stuff. And the bar we're at had like it was they had Illinois, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, and Alabama, South Florida. Which I don't know why you're a bar in Stillwater and you're not showing an OU game. Like
yeah.
it's not even like it's not even like the fans can like hate watch. It's just like which is part of the reason. But at the same time, it's like everyone here has an interest in OU football, just like OU fans. They probably like to watch OSU football. When if you listen to the Sports Animal, if you're just involved in Oklahoma sports altogether, you have an interest in both these teams, like them or not. Whether you like them, whether you hate them, whether you're indifferent on them. So I don't know why the bar wasn't playing it. Finally, someone went over and was like, "Hey, we need to get this game on." I was like, "Shout out that guy." But I checked my phone. I saw the score was 14-12. It was like 11 minutes to go in the third quarter, and I was like, I literally kind of like jaw dropped. Like, what? And I wasn't even necessarily surprised like it was a close. Like if you would have told me before I turned on my phone, like if you're like come in, Preston, you're like, "Hey, T-Bag, it's a 2-point game. Guess the score." I'd be like 30-28. That's what maybe the defense just gave up some bust plays or something. Must punt, just some weird things have happened where Houston was going to score. I did not think it was just because OU's offense was just going to be that inept.
So bad. It was, Jackson Arnold, 19 of 32, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javonte Barnes, 12 carries, 40 yards, 13 was the long he had. Jackson Arnold carried 11 times for 28 yards along at 13. And then you had Taylor Tatum got 1 carry, and Gavin Sawchuk got 4. So why they didn't try to, maybe run the ball outside a little bit more, or because the receivers weren't catching footballs there for a while. That's just a fact. And then Jackson Arnold on the interception he threw, if you're watching the TV broadcast, what's Aaron Rodgers' brother's name?
Jordan.
Jordan was doing the color commentating on the broadcast, and he basically said that interception was on Deion Burks because he started running a route and then ran a different route after Jackson Arnold threw the ball. So, but again, shouldn't have thrown it. It is what it is. And I couldn't believe it. And it's crazy to think that Oklahoma had to rely on their defense to win a football game.
Yeah, big time. And another thing with the offense for me too is that we can blame the Jimmies and Joes all we want right now, which they have a lot to blame to pass out to them.
Yeah.
That play calling was also some of the most predictable thing ever. Every first down, they were just running it up the middle. Every single first down.
Yeah.
It's just like pass it.
I think part of it though was that Jack Arnold had like the yips a little bit. I think that was part of it.
Yeah, but yes, and that's fair. But at the same time, it's like you got to try something different. Like that's the thing. It's like I knew, you knew, everyone knew in the stadium. Whether you're in Houston gear or OU gear, everyone knew watching it. It's like on first down, OU's just going to run it right here. Like it was so predictable. Yeah. And so that was another thing where it's just like, I mean, there's problems. Yeah. I guess I'm maybe a little crazy when I say this. I don't think it's going to be a great offense this year. I mean, obviously, like it'd be a pretty hot take. It was like, I think this offense can get to where they're scoring, averaging 40 points a game in the SEC or something. No, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to get competent enough, maybe, to where they can help the defense out because, our guy Harry just said, there's a reliable defense at Norman now. Yes, there is, but you can't rely on it to win you every game.
Yeah, and not when they're out there after 3 and outs on offense every single time.
They were exhausted.
Gonna be worn out. Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell how exhausted they're getting too. And I mean, yeah. So there's a lot of problems you got to fix. Again, with the offensive line. OU's lucky in this sense. I got Bill Bedenbaugh as offensive line coach. He, in my opinion, is the best offensive line coach in the country. If not top, if he's not in one, then he's 2 or 3. So
not if you check the message boards. He's not right now.
Yeah. Now, the one thing of Latrell's play calling is iffy. Jackson Arnold right now looks iffy. Running backs, obviously, but I think that can probably coincide with the offensive line. If the offensive line gets better,
I mean, what we know now though is Gavin Sawchuk is not RB1. It's got to be Javonte Barnes and then Taylor Tatum have to be the 2 running backs you go with.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's this Tulane game. It's
interesting.
Interesting, Preston.
And I saw the line opened up at 14, I believe, yesterday. It's already down to 13.5. So money's coming in on Tulane in this early. So I mean, the sharps out there think that Tulane has a decent shot. It would be interesting to see as the week goes on what that line gets to. But you can't be super confident if you're an OU fan right now that they're going to go out and they're going to get things taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ready to say a lot of, panic time in Norman, but you struggle against Tulane, even if you win, if it's a lot like last night, and then you go out and you get the doors blown off you by Tennessee because they look really good. Yeah. Like Nico didn't even play great last night. He played good, but he didn't even really play great last night. I watched a lot of that game. But they still found a way to beat an NC State team who I think is decent, like 51-10. And their defense and their front seven is men, full of men. I mean, it's one of the best in the country, and they showed why last time. They were dominant. So if OU does not get a lot of their issues solved, that could be a long day in Norman. And I saw this on Twitter last night, and I was like, that's very true. You don't think Josh Heupel's going to run up that score if he gets a chance?
Oh, yeah, he is. He's not going to care. He is not going to care. That'll be an interesting matchup, that defensive line against Oklahoma's offensive line. So, I mean, we'll see. And then we forgot to even mention before we get into the NFL that's happened. The 2 dumbest penalties in all of college football happened in the state yesterday. Alan Bowman shooting his pistols at the Arkansas sideline. And then was it Jake Taylor ripping his helmet off at the end of the OU game, which they could have just, ran the clock down to about 10 seconds, had a 4th down and punted it. The clock stopped and, theoretically gave Houston another chance. They ended up not doing anything with it, but it just 2 stupid penalties.
Yeah, the Alan Bowman one. Whenever that happened in the stadium, uh, because you didn't see really the unsportsmanlike, unless you're just staring at Bowman.
Yeah.
It's not like because you didn't see any pushing or shoving anything. Sort of unsportsmanlike conduct, and they said number 7 offense, and you literally heard everyone say go, Allen? Like, you thought of all people, it would not be your 7th-year starting quarterback who you think would know better than to do that in
Yeah.
that moment. Sure enough, he did it, and I was like, oh, I remember, I specifically remember, I was sitting with my buddy, and I look up, I was like, they must have gotten it confused for someone else. I was like, yeah, there's no way it's on Bowman. I was like, it's like they must have gotten it confused. And sure enough, after the game, I see
Oh
and I
yeah,
was
the
like,
camera cut
dude.
immediately to him doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Gundy said, in the post game, I didn't rip into him, on the sideline, but he's like, we had a nice little conversation in the locker room after the game about that one.
Yeah.
Because that could have cost him. That could have
Oh
cost
yeah,
him.
for sure, 100%. Other stuff in college football: Texas beats the hell out of Michigan, and Notre Dame loses to Northern Illinois. So maybe we were a little too eager on the Fighting Irish a couple weeks ago.
Yesterday was a definition of just like why college football is just so awesome. Because me and you
Yeah,
were talking on Thursday, on this show. It's like, yeah, it's an all right slate. There's a couple good games. Like Texas, Michigan. OSU, Arkansas, Tennessee, NC State at night, Colorado, Nebraska. Well, all those outside of OSU, Utah, I guess, and then the games I listed, all those games sucked. It was all the games that no one was talking about that were just
that
great.
were awesome.
And I mean,
Alabama got
Alabama
taken
was
to the brink.
struggling.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oregon was struggling and late at night against
walk-off
Boise
field goal.
State. Yeah, they actually probably should have lost that game. Boise got screwed on one of those calls. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, crazy day in college football. In what Oklahoma State, I think, is up to like 13 in the AP poll now. Oklahoma stays at 15 after that game. So
I'll tell you this, Preston.
interesting stuff.
As of right now, OSU is not the 13th best team in the country. No, he's not the 15th best team in the country.
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
I think those rankings are a little skewed.
Yes, I would completely agree with you. We'll see shortly on Oklahoma and Oklahoma State for that matter, as well as they'll be playing Utah and K-State here in a couple of weeks, and Oklahoma will be playing Tennessee and Auburn. So should be interesting. Yeah. Should be interesting. All right, let's get into the NFL today. The big breaking news: Tyreek Hill got Scotty Scheffler outside of the Miami Hard Rock Stadium. Gets arrested, getting out of it, or gets pulled out of his McLaren, gets arrested, and goes out and puts up detained. He was not arrested. That's right. Gets put in handcuffs, basically, and thrown on the ground. He goes out and then plays and gets 130 yards and a touchdown. So maybe if you get arrested before your sporting event that you have to play in, it's good luck or something.
When I saw that on Twitter this morning, I saw two things, Preston. So I drove back from Stillwater this morning, and I wasn't on my phone much this morning. I kind of just got up, helped clean a little, and got out of Dodge. And so when I got home this morning, I sat down and I got on Twitter, and the first two tweets I see were Dak Prescott's new contract, and the very next one, Tyreek Hill face down with cops all around him. And it just said, and it was just like Tyreek Hill, and it was just like one of those, troll burner account kind of, those that are on Twitter now. And it was just like Tyreek Hill arrested with a bunch of like shocked faces and stuff. I was like, what's going on? And so I went and like investigated Tyreek a little bit more, and obviously like his agent came out and said he's playing today. I was like, all right, but yeah, those are the first of all, this morning.
If you're a guy like Tyreek, and really any NFL player, and you do something stupid like that, you better have an agent like Drew Rosenhaus, who was on the scene immediately and was doing an ESPN interview within the hour of it happening, was on ESPN clearing things up. So shout out to him. I wanted so badly to see the graphic of the one the other day where it said DJU and just on it just said ass. Like they would have transferred or something like that. I just wanted the Tyreek and then just arrested on there, because I thought that would be pretty funny. But that was insane news to hear this morning. Getting up and getting around.
To start off the NFL Sunday, it was just, and then after that, I was like, I don't know. Like, do I bet on the Jags now? Like, is this
I
going to be a
immediately hit the
distraction?
over on Tyreek Hill yards. I was like, it was like 97 and a half. I was like, he's going over 97 and a half today. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah, he had a great touchdown there at the end of the game. And
And
I know we'll
you
talk
see a
about that game, but
celebration.
that ETN fumble, dude, such
Oh,
a
that was
killer for the Jags. Because
crazy. Yeah.
if he scores there, I mean that game's over. And then that led
Yeah.
enough for the Dolphins to come back and win that. Tyreek Hill, I think, scored the like 2 plays later. It was pretty much a 14-point swing in 2 plays.
Yeah. And he does the arrested celebration, puts his hand behind his back like he's got handcuffed.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
I didn't
he
even
did
notice
that.
that.
You'll
That's
have to
awesome.
go and look that up. He did that after
I
the
will.
touchdown. Yeah, the Jags didn't even score after halftime in that game, which is pretty crazy. The Steelers and Falcons was disgusting. I don't know why or how anyone watched that one. There was 1 touchdown scored in that game by the Falcons. I don't know. I'm just looking at the box score. It says Steelers first quarter 3 points, second quarter 6 points, third quarter 6 points, fourth quarter 3 points. So I don't even think they scored a touchdown in that game, and they won 18-10.
That's I took the Steelers today, +4.
There
Mike
you go.
Tomlin, first game of the year, new coach, new quarterback for the Falcons. You know, Mike Tomlin was going to find a way to. I didn't think they were necessarily going to win, but I was like 4. That's a lot of points.
Yeah.
So, my guy Justin Fields played like
Yes,
Justin
he
Fields
did.
does.
Started, yeah.
He played like Justin Fields does, where he shows you a few good plays of why you think he could be a Hall of Fame quarterback. And
And
then
then
he
he
gives you a
doesn't.
lot of reasons to think, oh, yeah, he's not that good.
Yes. How about the Cardinals and the Bills? That game was super entertaining.
Yeah,
Kyler
game of
looked
the early
great there
slate.
for a while. And then Josh Allen looked great at the end of the game. They scored 24 points in the second half to beat the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm. Cardinals are going to be, I think we talked about this a little, Preston. I don't think they're necessarily going to be, some playoff team. I wouldn't be shocked if they make the playoffs at all. But I think week in and week out, they're going to be a fun, frisky team. I mean, their offense is
Yeah.
going to be fun. Kyler Murray, I think, is going to, finally kind of come back to the first couple of years. Kyler Murray, where he was a really good quarterback. But yeah, that was definitely the game of the early slate. Was the Bills Cardinals, and I mean, just whenever you got 2 great quarterbacks going at it, I mean, that's when it's peak NFL.
No, it's perfect, and that's exactly what we had there. Marvin Harrison Jr. only 1 reception, which is just disgusting. That needs to be fixed immediately.
I'm
And then
assuming you have him on fantasy.
I picked him to score a touchdown today. I was like,
Okay.
surely he's going to score a touchdown. What better time to score a touchdown than his very first game? Did not happen though. Next game, talk about your Chicago Bears took on the Tennessee Titans. Did they even score an offensive touchdown in this game? They still win 24-17. The defense is phenomenal. Just like you said, the defense is great. And
They started off terrible. I was so worried because I was like, oh my gosh, the Bears. I've been bragging about the Bears defense all offseason. And then the second half rolled around. They showed why. I was like, yes, that is a defense I know and love right there. They were phenomenal. It was Preston. I'm not going to panic and say Caleb is giving the guy. He made some good plays. I mean, obviously, it wasn't what we wanted to see from Caleb Williams. But again, I think he's got a pretty long runway to try to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
It just was so typical effing Bears, where I wake up today and I'm so excited to watch my new. It's like I've been driving. I mean, I drive a Honda Civic right now. It's like I've been driving this Honda Civic for so long. It's good. It's reliable. Get from point A to point B. But I finally upgraded to the brand new, Lexus with the leather seats and all the gadgets and stuff. Because today I woke up, I was like, I get to watch a Bears offense that's competent for the first time in my life. I get to wake up and say I get to watch Chicago Bears play offense today.
And then as soon as you got in the car to turn the key, you found out the battery was dead.
and then I got in the car, and then I realized the old reliable is always the way to go, I guess.
Yeah.
Because once again, Bears, I guess, Bears offense is 0 points. Special teams, I guess, if you want to call that offense, whatever. And defense, 24 points. The Bears won the game off defense and special teams like they always have. And Jesus, are they always going to? I'm going to take the win because for a long time, when it was 17-0, I was like, they may not win today, and I was going to hurt. And I also had this moment, Preston, and it was almost like I need to stand up and just go look in the mirror and just say, you're better than this. Because today I was like thinking, I was staying calm. I was doing my best to stay calm. And I was like, you stayed calm yesterday. You stayed really calm yesterday during the OSU game. Stay calm today. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, well, you stayed calm yesterday because you trust OSU. So I'm at a point in my life, Preston, where I trust Oklahoma State football 10 times more than I trust the Chicago Bears. So that's how my stress level is going to be for the next 10 weeks. And then whenever OSU and Bears are coinciding with each other, but obviously college bowl season ends quicker. But yeah, so I'm at a point where I trust OSU way more, which I shouldn't. I should not, because OSU will break my heart a couple times this year. I'm going to go ahead and just say that one now. And the Bears will break my heart a million times this year. So yeah, I just needed to go look myself in the mirror and just tell myself how ridiculous I am and I'm pathetic and I shouldn't care anymore. Because if you're at a point where you're trusting Oklahoma State football, like way more than an NFL team, sad state of affairs. So happy Bears won. Happy Bears won. I'm not panicking with Caleb Williams at all. Like
it's way too early for any of that stuff.
No joke. Yeah, he made some decent plays. You could tell he had some rookie first game stuff going on. Defense was phenomenal. I think the Bears are probably still a 7 to 9 win team, which if you would have asked me this time yesterday, I would have said a 9 to 10 win team. So
yeah,
not much has really changed. I mean, obviously, if Caleb doesn't figure it out, they're not going to win a lot of games. But I still think he can. It just sucks. I've been looking forward to watching a competent Bears offense for the last, literally since the day the Bears got Caleb and Roman Dunze. I was like, I've been watching competent Bears offense, and I wake up today.
You didn't get that.
I didn't get that. So enough of my rant with that.
Well, we'll see how that goes. We'll keep closely paying attention to the Bears going forward. Obviously, how about a team though that had high expectations that fell completely flat today? That is the Cincinnati Bengals, who lost to the New England Patriots 16-10. And a great game for Ramondre Stevenson. I think he had like 130 yards, 120 yards, and a touchdown. So he played great for the Patriots, and they win the ball game against the Bengals.
I don't even know what to say. Like
literally, yeah.
It's just.
It was just
you get one of these a week. It's just you always just kind of forget. You always get one of these in a week every week, where it's just like some team comes out from nowhere and it just beats a really good team. Yeah. I don't think it really said to me, like, yes, the Patriots, looked good, I guess. I think to me, kind of today just goes, the Bengals kind of stink like right now,
Yeah, I don't think they're that good right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily like, oh, look out for the Patriots. They might be a dark horse for the playoffs. Like, no, I still don't think the Patriots.
I mean, the first time Jamar Chase has put on an NFL uniform this season was this morning when he got dressed to play for the game.
What were his?
He hasn't done anything because he's such a diva now at this point.
6 receptions, 52 yards.
Yeah, he's such a diva at this point that he wants all this money, but it's hindering the team now at this point. Obviously, they didn't have T. Higgins as well. No Joe Mixon. He's now in Houston. We're going to talk about that game here in just a second, but it didn't look that good. I wouldn't be too happy if I was a Bengals fan watching that game.
Yeah. I mean, I still think they're going to be able to figure it out. I feel like the Bengals they started at 0-4 a couple years ago. Like, I think the post Super Bowl run, like they started like 0-3, 0-4 or something.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the Bengals kind of always have a slow start, but like I said, with Mike Gundy and Casey Dunn and Brian Narder, it's like, why can't we just do this from the beginning? Why do we have to make this difficult? Why can't we just do this from the beginning? But I kind of always feel like that's how the Bengals kind of start off, even under Joe Burrow. They always kind of start really slow and then start to figure it out towards, as the season goes on.
For sure. Now let's talk about that Colts-Texans game. This might have been one of the better games all day.
Yeah.
Texans win 29-27. You had C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson just launching footballs up and down the field. Joe Mixon looked great today. Stephon Diggs had a couple of touchdowns. It was. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably the game of the day so far.
Yeah. It was that or Cardinals Bills up there for the game
Yeah,
of
that
the
was a good
day.
one as well. Yeah,
The one I don't like the Texans' new uniforms. Same with the Broncos. Just random,
yeah.
just basic talk here. I don't like those uniforms at all. But yes, Anthony Richardson. I think a lot of people kind of forgot about him. He looked really good last year. Now he didn't have necessarily the best game today. Like it's not like he had the most complete, perfect game ever
Yeah.
today.
9 of
But
19.
he made some throws. Like, whoo, boy.
Oh yeah.
Like I think he's got it in there. Now I think consistency is going to be his biggest thing for him going forward. But he definitely made some big time plays today. I think the Colts are very well coached with Shane Steichen. I think the Texans are just a top to bottom, just a really good football team. So yeah, that was a fantastic game.
I didn't even realize Joe Mixon had 30 carries for 159 yards and a touchdown. I didn't realize he had 159 yards, but yeah, he was running all over the place against the Colts. Nico Collins had a great game, 117 yards. CJ Stroud was 24-32, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns, so he was great in that game for the Colts. And I'm still really high on the Colts, or not the Colts, but the Texans. I mean, I'm still really high on the Texans this season. I think they're going to be a great team. So, all right, let's move on to. We kind of talked about the Jaguars and the Dolphins a little bit with Tyreek getting detained, but the Dolphins win on a last-second field goal, 20-17. They looked absolutely disgusting for the first half, 3 quarters, maybe, probably really the whole game. They looked just absolutely disgusting. But they somehow pull out a win because the Jaguars looked even worse in the second half.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, that ETN fumble in the end zone, and then 2 plays later, Tyreek Hill won a 60, 70-yard touchdown, whatever it
Yeah.
was. I mean, that was just once that happened, I was 14-point swing like that. I was like, that's
Done
a
for.
good chance.
Yeah.
That was the game right there. Jags gonna Jags, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Jags gonna Jags, and
There's no other way to describe it. Like you had a man get detained by the police in 2 hours
it was the
before
most
the
Florida
game.
football day ever. Just the most typical Florida
Yes.
football game ever. You had 2 teams from Florida just going at it, and they put on a show for us.
With great speed and great talent, and they score 37 points total in the ball game. Yes, it was very much that way. Now the worst game of the day easily is the Panthers and the Saints. The Saints just absolutely blow out the Panthers 47-10. Bryce Young, are we ready to say that he's just no good in the NFL?
Yeah. Yes. I feel bad. Part of me, Preston, as a Bears fan, just feels bad about what the Bears did to the Panthers and that
Oh yeah. I
number
mean,
one
look, they
pick
did it to
trade.
themselves though, didn't they?
They did, but it's like it's like it's one of those things where like if I were to influence you to do something, and then like it got you in trouble, like I'd feel guilty about it. But then
Yeah.
people would be like, well, Preston had free will. He didn't have to do
Yeah.
that. He made that decision himself. It's like, yeah, but I still feel bad. Like I influenced him to do it. Like that's how I feel because it's just like the poor Panthers, man. They stink. The Bears took Caleb Williams away from him. They gave him Bryce Young. They took their number 8 pick a year away from them, where the Bears got they got a second round pick this year for him. And then Preston,
Yeah.
and they had 1 pick, second round pick. It was like a 4th round pick, and then next year the Bears get again this upcoming draft this spring. The Bears get another second round pick for him. Like it is
It's
robbery, and the Panthers are just terrible. Terrible. Yeah. You don't see 47-10 much in the NFL.
At
Like you
all.
don't
Yeah.
see that often.
And
And
was it
that
you that did you tweet something about Derek Carr today?
yeah, I was like, Derek Carr good? Something like
Uh,
that.
the answer is no. He's still a
No.
bum, but the Panthers suck.
It was just fun to tweet that whenever he threw a bomb down the field to a wide open wide receiver. Where I was like, any NFL quarterback could have made that throw. And I was like, Derek Carr
Rashid
good?
Shaheed is an elite receiver name, by the way.
Hey, you remember when I was doing that draft on the show the other day?
Yeah.
And I was like, who do we draft? You told me, Preston. I had him on the bench today. I had him on the bench, but that's all right because I was gonna lose anyway.
Rashid Shaheed, yeah.
You told me like with a name like Rashid Shaheed that you got to take him. and I
Yeah.
did. And so he saw my bitch today. Also, just fantasy side note, in that same league, I'm going to lose because like all our players are pretty much wrapped up. I think he has one player. I think he has Garrett Wilson playing tomorrow. But he's
Yeah.
already up. He's already up. Like 4 points. So he's going to win no matter what. One of the main reasons he's going to win is because the Bears defense gave him 39 points. So
well, credit to you because you told me
it was definitely like Bears win, lose fantasy. Like I'll take the Bears win over fantasy any day of the week, but like that kind of was like, damn it, like I had to go against the Bears defense today. I could have won. I could have.
Well,
won.
and you helped me win by telling me to take the Bears defense. So we'll count that as well. Okay, next game. We just got a couple more left here. The Vikings and the Giants. Sam Darnold, where the hell did he come from? He looked great today.
Speaking of our fearless leader, Cisco, our boss, I get this text from him today. Sam Darnold, 12 for 12. He's a Vikings fan, by the way, guys.
Yes,
For those who don't know, and I'm a Bears fan, and we go back and forth a lot. He said Sam Darnold, 12 for 12 and 1 TD. How's Caleb doing? Laughy face. So I got that today. Silver lining for me though on that one is I've had the take. I think Sam Darnold's gonna have a good season. So that's looking good for me. I know a lot of people just don't like Sam Darnold, especially around here because there was a whole Sam Darnold Baker Mayfield controversy, back in the draft. But I've always, when you go to the Jets, you just naturally get broken. Then he goes to the Panthers and gets broken again. Yeah. And then he finally gets, he's like just scrambling, just, he's in a hellhole with the Jets and the Panthers. He goes and takes a couple-year breather with the 49ers, learns under Kyle Shanahan, doesn't have any pressure on him, can just sit back and breathe. This year goes in and kind of he's the start of it. There's really no pressure on him because J.J. McCarthy, their future, Sam Darnold knows, and they all know he's not the future. It's J.J. McCarthy. And I was like, this kind of reminds me of like a Baker Mayfield-esque, a Geno Smith-esque, where you get a good offensive mind around you and you kind of just have more of a carefree attitude about it. Some of these guys can just have kind of rejuvenate their careers to an extent. Now, I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be some multi-time Pro Bowl now. I don't think he's probably going to be a Pro Bowler this year. But I was like, I think Sam Darnold's going to have a good season with the Vikings because I love the roster. I love Kevin O'Connell as a head coach. So, so that felt good to see that. Still a long season to go. He could suck the rest of the way, but looks like he's going to have a decent season.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great game for him. All right, on to the Chargers and the Raiders. I was worried for a little bit because it looked like Oklahoma was playing offense out in LA for the Chargers. But then they turned things around in the fourth quarter. They scored 13 points and win the ballgame 22-10. And J.K. Dobbins hasn't played really in 2 years since getting hurt. He had how many yards did he have? Like over 130, I know for sure. He had 135 and a touchdown. So it was good to see J.K. Dobbins get out there, run the football, kind of a very Harbaugh coached game. And there was a fight. I mean,
and he went out for the fight.
Yes. So it was great. It was a great win, and you can't really ask for much more in game one of a coach's tenure.
Ladd McConkey got a touchdown, right?
He did, which it was perfect. Finally, a rookie wide receiver catches a touchdown, which I'll give Quentin Johnson some credit today. He got targeted 5 times. He caught 3 of those for 38 yards. So that's a start. All right. That is a start.
60%.
Yes. He dropped a first down pass that was right to him, but you know what? We're going to start somewhere low and work our way up. And then, I mean, for the Raiders, how long before Devontae Adams once out of Las Vegas? He had 5 receptions for 59 yards today. Only targeted 6 times.
He'll be once again. It's like the Bernie Sanders being like, I'm once again asking. It's going to be like that with Devontae Adams. Like, I'm once again asking to get me out of Las Vegas.
Yes, I can see that happening. All right, we don't have much more time before this night game starts. Let's burn through these last couple of games. Next one up, Broncos Seahawks. I thought that the Broncos were going to be well in control of this game to start, and it didn't turn out that way. The Seahawks kind of took over late in the game. Kenneth Walker the third is it third or second, whatever it is he's awesome.
Yeah. No, he is. He has an injury problem, so I hope he can stay healthy this year because I do think he is a really good running back. But when he's healthy, man, he's definitely one of the better and most underrated running backs in the league. I feel like not really people talk about him as one of the better running backs. But I think that kind of coincides with the injuries.
And the first drive, I think like the second play, Geno Smith threw an interception. I was like, oh my God. Shocker that happened. But the Seahawks win 26-20. The Cowboys, Dak Prescott gets a bag. He's the highest paid football player in the world, American football, that is. And the Cowboys go out and win 33-17. The Browns and Deshaun Watson. It's so great to see them just be so bad.
Yeah, I did not feel bad for Deshaun Watson getting booed today
at all
from the stadium. They're in a spot. They're in a spot because you know that team wants Jameis Winston playing.
Oh yeah.
You know everyone in that locker room hates Deshaun Watson. That there's no way you can be in that locker room and really have respect for Deshaun Watson. If they do, it's like you need a little moral check then. And they all love Jameis because everyone's ever played for Jameis. He's the best teammate ever. He's just sitting right there. But they're paying Deshaun Watson all this money. Can you just bench him? I think eventually you can. Probably not this early, but maybe eventually you can. So don't feel bad for the Browns, and I don't feel bad for Deshaun Watson. Not a Cowboys fan. Do not like the Cowboys. One of the few days I was rooting for the Cowboys.
Yeah, they looked pretty good today, beating the Browns. Final game before we talk a little bit about this night game that's getting ready to start. The Commanders and the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield and his Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a win, 37-20. And I thought Baker Mayfield looked awesome today against the Commanders.
Yeah, he looked great. Jaden Daniels' debut.
He looked decent. Yeah.
He looked, passing was running was phenomenal. I think he had 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I still think also with him, I think it's kind of one of those things where I don't think my quarterback knowledge is that great because what would I say? I know it's not the good grab, I'm not a scout. But because I don't think there's really much the Commanders have around him to make him look better. So he probably played a lot better than I'm getting him credit for. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, what do you have, 4 touchdowns today?
24 of 30. So, I mean, great completion percentage there. 289 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he played fantastic today. So
and Jaden Daniels was 17 of 24. So that's not terrible. 184 yards, no touchdowns through the air, but he did have 2 touchdowns on the ground, like you mentioned, and 88 yards rushing on 16 carries. So good game there for the Buccaneers. I think they're going to be a pretty decent squad this year. Mike Evans looked phenomenal today. He only had 5 grabs for 61 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. So he looked great for the Buccaneers today, and I think they're going to be a great team going forward. Okay, right now, this game getting ready to start here tonight. The Rams taking on the Lions. I'm trying to find this line real quick so we can talk about it. Right now, Detroit a 5.5 point favorite going into this game. What are your thoughts on this game that's getting ready to kick off here in a couple minutes?
I like the Rams lot to cover. I think Detroit wins. I think 5.5 is too many.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of emotion in that building tonight. Once again, playoff game last year, Matt Stafford, all this, that, the other. I like the Rams to cover, let the Lions to win. I'm going to say 24-20 Lions.
Yeah, I like the Lions. They're one of my favorite teams. I've picked them to go to the Super Bowl. Give me a Sam Laporta touchdown is one thing that I'm gonna be. I've already bet on tonight. So Sam Laporta touchdown. I think that's something that's gonna happen. So, all right, yeah. So you think you think Lions? I think Lions. So that's gonna do it for this first Sunday episode for us here of the weekend football recap. We'll do this every Sunday. We'll come on. We'll talk college football. We'll talk, all the NFL games like we just did. So it should be fun. Be sure to follow us on X at PrestonPool405, at Tyler's Takes, at Unadvised Pod. Any final takes before we get out of here, T-Bag?
Norman, Stillwater, OU, OSU, run game. Work on it.
All righty, there you go. We'll catch you guys on Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. right back here if I don't click the button too quick. All right, see you guys on Tuesday.